Get marketing expertise
that is helping the income of
thousands of financial institutions soar.
Get inventive insurance products,
proprietary analytics,
and proven multimedia communications
that return one of the highest industry results
year after year.
Get a visionary analytical service
that lights up your data
and helps you make faster, more concise,
and better informed marketing decisions.
Get a satisfying consumer engagement experience created by multi-channel messaging
of life-enriching insurance solutions
and first-class customer service.
Get over 45 years of industry intelligence
that excels at safely integrating today's
intricate rules and regulations
into clear, concise,
consumer-centric marketing.
Get it all.
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 At no cost to you.
NAFCU thanks Afinion for their support. Ladies and gentlemen, our program is about to begin. We ask that you please turn off or silence your cell phones. Welcome to NAFCU's 51st Annual Conference and Solutions Expo. Please rise and remain standing for the presentation of the colors by the Naval Base Kitsap Berger and our national anthem, followed by an invocation. Please welcome Jordani Sarial from Seattle, Washington.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing for our invocation by Deacon Pierce Murphy of the Archdiocese of Seattle.
Please join me in prayer. O good and gracious God, we come before you this morning with joy and gratitude for a new day. Pour out your abundant blessings of peace and mercy on us as we gather in this beautiful city. May our time together and our common labor to promote the wise use of credit and the prosperity of our communities bear much fruit. Build up in us, we pray, a spirit of service and a heartfelt desire to benefit the common good, bringing hope and human kindness to those most in need. May we always be grateful for our lives and the love of our families, friends, and professional colleagues. We make this prayer with humble and grateful hearts. Amen.
Good morning and welcome to NAFCU's 51st Annual Conference and Solutions Expo. NAFCU would like to take a moment to thank Visa for this morning's breakfast in the Solutions Expo. Also, NAFCU extends its appreciation to the CUNA Mutual Group for sponsoring last evening's welcome reception. NAFCU would also like to give a special thanks to this year's signature sponsor, Strategic Resource Management. This week, please remember to share your experiences via Twitter and our conference app, which is also sponsored by CUNA Mutual Group. Using the conference app, you'll also be able to access all breakout session handouts during the conference. NAFCU would also like to thank the NAFCU Services Corporation and their preferred partners for all they do for NAFCU and their members. Please give Randy Salser and his team at NAFCU Services Corporation a big thank you. And please thank some of Seattle's finest to begin today's program. The Naval Base Kitsap Berger for the presentation of the colors, Jordani Sarial, who sang for us this morning, and Deacon Pierce Murphy for the invocation. Let's take a moment to introduce you to your current NAFCU Board of Directors. The board recently concluded its annual elections. New officers will start their roles at the end of the conference. Please hold your applause until all the names are read. Chairman and Region 5 Director, Rich Harris. Vice Chairman and Region 3 Director, Jeannie Cusey. Treasurer and At-Large Director, Deborah Schwartz. Secretary and Region 4 Director, Tom DeWitt. Region 1 Director, Gary Grinnell. Region 2 Director, Brian Schools. Director at Large, Bob Fisher. Director at Large, Jim Kenyon. Director at Large, Jan Roach. Director at Large, Chuck Rutan. And Director at Large, Daniel Wickenend. Please welcome your NAFCU Board of Directors. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome NAFCU President and CEO, Dan Berger.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, come on, bigger, you're in Seattle. Good morning. Yeah, much better. Thanks for being here in beautiful Seattle. What a fantastic conference we have lined up for you. We've got great speakers to motivate and propel your credit union and your teams to new heights. There's a ton of networking and education and new and exciting strategic insights and lots of inspiration packed into 3 days. So let's get the show started. The only thing that is constant is change. That's a familiar phrase that I'm sure we've all heard before. But regardless of how many times we have heard it, it does not make embracing change any easier. So much has changed since NAFCU was founded in 1967. Heck, so much has changed since our last meeting at our last annual conference in Hawaii, especially in our nation's capital. The CFPB is moving away from burdensome rulemaking that we've had to contend with since 2010. And we have witnessed the biggest tax reform overhaul in over 30 years, with our tax exemption intact. And we have achieved the most comprehensive regulatory relief in over a decade. And now the House and the Senate are seeing a shakeup in leadership across both political aisles. And to think that's just the tip of the iceberg. So to say it's been an exciting year in Washington, D.C. is an understatement. It's been a dumpster fire. Change has kept us busy, but busy in a good way. From the White House to Capitol Hill, from altering or undoing burdensome regulations, it's really difficult to predict what's coming next. That's why having a strategic plan in place for your credit union has never been more important than it is today. Here at NAFCU's annual conference, the industry's premier strategic planning event for credit union executives and board members, we're going to double down on some of the most pressing challenges facing your team and your credit union. We'll go over opportunities and successes, as well as what the future holds. We'll uncover why a credit union is still the best choice for consumers in the age of fintech. And we'll showcase how NAFCU became the industry's Washington watchdog, letting everyone on Capitol Hill know that credit unions are here to stay, not because of change, but in spite of it. Not only are we thriving in these times of change, we're blazing a path for credit unions. NAFCU had many accomplishments this past year, the kind that tell us we are doing something right. We are the trade group that secured regulatory relief for the industry through our meetings with key policymakers. But we're also the reason credit unions might see additional regulatory relief later this year. From risk-based capital delay to short-term lending improvements to additional field and membership reforms. Those are just a few of the items we're pushing and that are on our docket for the rest of this year. On top of securing regulatory relief, we were the only credit union group to meet with the Treasury Secretary, Stephen Mnuchin, and other key VIPs. We were the only trade group fighting for you to get back all your money from the NCOA Stabilization Fund. We shut down attempts to repeal the tax exemption for credit unions. We continue to fight costly ADA website litigation from that ambulance chaser in California. And we have pushed for data security and cybersecurity reform. And to top it all off, we got invited by the President of the United States to have a roundtable discussion on credit union issues. When we say we're #1 in advocacy, we mean it. My colleagues do an amazing job. Please give them a round of applause. And as we enter the second half of the year, there's still much more work to be done. We'll continue to be focused and aggressive. It's going to be one heck of a ride leading up to the midterm elections, and then we'll have to see how all this stuff unfolds in Washington, D.C. There is one thing I do know. NAFCU will be leading the charge for credit unions. Our staff will continue to fight on your behalf in Washington. No matter what, you can count on that. But to be frank, NAFCU is already looking to 2019 and beyond. Why? Because we need to focus on the future and not lose sight of the things that make our industry great. What's your plan for the coming year? What's your plan for 5 years from now? Are you ready for what's on the horizon? With new disruptors entering the financial services sector every day, whether it's fintech or apps like Venmo, Zelle, it can be hard to keep up with all the changes. But rather than getting distracted by the latest shiny object, we need to continue doing what we do best, continuing to make credit unions the best choice for the American consumer. There is a path that we can follow that will help us navigate and talk about what's to come in the future. It's here at NAFCU, NAFCU's annual conference, that you'll get the guidance and insight you need to take the bull by the horns and succeed. As you know, we spend a lot of time on the road visiting credit unions and their staff, and I mean a lot of time, over 100,000 miles a year. That's how we learn. And what we have learned in our meetings with credit unions is they need to focus on 4 things right now: vision, strategy, execution, and innovation. These hold the key to our future. So it's entirely fitting that we're here in Seattle, a city with vision, strategy, execution, and innovation. It's on full display. Seattle's a place where so many great companies have started, from Amazon to Zillow and everything in between, including Starbucks, Boeing, Microsoft, UPS. Seattle is a city that thrives on ideas, invention, and ingenuity. So it's why it's perfect we're here for NAFCU's annual conference, because credit unions embody many of the same secrets that make Seattle and all these great companies great. How so? First, Seattle is open to new ideas and newcomers. Entrepreneurs are welcomed. They built this town by sharing ideas and collaborating. Second, there's a startup mentality. There's a willingness to try and fail at new things. Third, the people in Seattle are engaged. They are committed. They are all in, just like you are. From the work they perform to the fun things that they do in their off hours. And fourth, they understand how to put customers first. In our case, members. Whether it's Starbucks personalized orders or Amazon's reinvention of retail. I know many of you had Starbucks coffee this morning. I know I did. Have you ever considered what your branches might look like if they were operated like Starbucks stores? If your tellers were baristas? What if people wanted to spend time in your branches and saw them as gathering places? What if you took something like coffee, a commodity, just like checking and auto loans, and turned it into a sought-after experience? Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, figured out how to do all those things. He took a single coffee shop right down the street here in Seattle and turned it into one of the top brands in the world. He had vision, he had strategy, he had execution, and he had innovation. Do you remember how Amazon started? Jeff Bezos gave up a very high-paying job on Wall Street to take a chance on a concept he believed in: selling books online. People thought he was nuts. People thought he was crazy. But he had a vision. And it wasn't just about books. It was about harnessing the power of the internet to build an e-commerce platform that delivered everything you could possibly want or imagine right to your mailbox or doorstep. And as Bezos would say many times over the years, our vision at Amazon is to be the world's most customer-centric company. We don't view ourselves as a bookstore or a music store. We view ourselves as a customer store. Amazon has become the largest online retailer, and Bezos is now one of the most influential business leaders in the entire world. He had vision, he had strategy, he had execution, and of course, he had innovation. What can credit unions learn from Amazon? Here are 3 ideas. First, delight your customers, delight your members. According to Bezos, even when they don't know it yet, customers want something better. And your desire to delight customers will drive you to invent on their behalf. Second, make every day day one. Bezos says day 2 is stability, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating and painful decline, followed by death. And now it's always day 1 at Amazon. Third, experiment and accept failures. Staying in day 1, Bezos says, requires you to experiment patiently, accept failures, plant seeds, protect those saplings, and double down when you see customers delight. Double down when you see member delight. Amazon is the ultimate disruptor with over $700 billion in market share. It now accounts for nearly half of all online sales and 4% of all retail sales in the United States. It's absolutely huge. But don't be scared. Credit unions have more in common with Amazon than you think. It's not just low prices and convenience that have gained Amazon tremendous market share. The analytics at Amazon uses to, they remember your previous visits and your previous purchases, and has earned an incredible loyalty. So while you're not physically in a store, you have a distinctive customer experience. For you, you need to have an distinctive member experience. Credit unions know something about loyalty and customer experience. They know about vision, strategy, execution, and innovation. That is why credit unions are here to stay. We've been on this path since the inception of our industry. Think about it. The earliest credit unions in North America were formed in response to banks and others charging outrageous interest rates. Members of these not-for-profit cooperatives could get loans at reasonable terms. They could deposit their money in a safe place and earn a fair return. The vision of providing credit to working people took hold in the early 1920s in the US, as families wanted to buy automobiles, washing machines. Credit unions provided inexpensive credit in a unique, member-owned structure. Today, credit unions continue to operate with that same vision. We're still the best deal for consumers. We provide the best rates on savings, loans, credit cards, and of course, mortgages. We have the lowest banking fees and are consistently rated higher than banks and fintech for customer service. Having a vision and strategy are key, but putting them into practice, now that's the real test. As venture capitalist John Doerr once said, ideas are easy. Execution is everything. Execution is how we deliver on our promise to always put members first. Execution is how credit unions, despite their relatively small size, consistently outperform banks on many fronts. Higher customer satisfaction, higher rates of growth in consumer lending, rising market share in mortgage lending, faster asset growth, faster adoption of technology, and the list goes on and on. For example, did you know that credit unions since 1990 have doubled their share of the consumer loan market at the expense of banks and thrifts? That kind of growth doesn't happen without execution. And good execution depends on first, hiring the right talent, and then giving them the tools and technology to adapt quickly in the face of rapid change. I hate the term, but success requires out-of-the-box thinking and the ability to recognize that some failure is necessary to succeed and provide the right environment for that innovation to occur. When you give your staff permission to experiment, to find new ways to improve member service, develop new products or increase productivity, you empower them to make major breakthroughs. Of course, some of this can be achieved by properly training staff and giving them the tools to succeed. But we also must foster a culture where people feel empowered enough to take risks. Co-founder of Apple, Steve Jobs, got it right when he said, "It's not the tools you have faith in. Tools are just tools. They work or they don't work. It's the people you have faith in or not." Credit unions have always taken risks. When a member needs a loan to buy a used car, you make the loan. When a member wants to go to college or buy a starter home, you are there. When they need a loan to expand their small business, the credit union is there to help. If you decide to open a branch in an underserved area or go into a neighborhood the banks have abandoned, that's taking a risk. You see, credit unions believe in extending a helping hand. It's in our DNA. It's part of our mission. With risk-taking comes innovation. Credit unions are providing access to more services through apps and smart branches, investing in enhanced data security to protect member transactions, and using business intelligence to better serve members. From mortgage servicing to creative branch environments, credit unions have been on the forefront of innovation. Credit unions were some of the first financial institutions in the United States to have ATM machines, remote deposit capture, and video tellers. Credit unions are also exploring voice banking through Amazon's Alexa and testing credit card ATM cardless access. Not to mention, some credit unions are looking to partner directly with Amazon to provide additional incentives for their members. It's this type of innovation and willingness to always put the members' needs first that has gained and maintained people's trust in you. But what else are credit unions doing that will keep us on the right path? Let's take a quick look at information technology. According to a recent survey, the majority of credit unions say they have budgets in place for data analytics, and they're investing more than ever in technology. And there's growing evidence that IT investments are both necessary and advantageous to remain competitive. A study released earlier this year by MIT shows that customer experience using a centralized platform to collect real-time data on customers, those companies enjoy a net margin 16 percentage points higher than their industry peers. 16 points higher than their industry peers. That's huge. These future-ready companies, the study says, are in a much stronger position to transform customers' experiences and generate deeper customer loyalty, long-term customer loyalty. More good news comes from a recent payments report that found credit unions are doing a better job developing innovative new financial products than banks. These reports are a welcome reminder that as we enter an era with increasing competition, credit unions are still the best choice for consumers. The credit union industry continues to have a willingness to face challenges head on, just as those credit unions did in the early 1920s. That is why our industry is able to grow during times of change, because you have vision, strategy, execution, and of course, innovation. Every day at NAFCU, we ask ourselves, how can we help credit unions grow? We don't pigeonhole ourselves into focusing just on one thing. Once we accomplish something, we immediately ask, what is next? Extreme member service is something we pride ourselves on, and we do this by emulating NAFCU's founders and the vision they had to help credit unions grow. Our past helped pave the way for many of the industry successes that we're enjoying today. For instance, thanks to the determination of NAFCU's founders, we have a federal share insurance fund and an independent regulator in the NCOA, as frustrating as that can be. Because of NAFCU's vigilance, credit unions have never been subject to federal income tax. And because of the vision of our board and members, all credit unions across the country can now join NAFCU and leverage all our services. Today, we provide the best federal advocacy, education, compliance assistance in the entire industry. That's the core of who we are. That's our vision, and that's our promise to you. Throughout its history, NAFCU has taken strategic risks to advance the cause of credit unions. From the beginning, we have stuck to our principles and have always fought for our members. NAFCU stood firm to protect credit unions' 1% deposit in the share insurance fund when the Treasury Department proposed having you write it down. Treasury Department backed down. Done. We moved on. We supported federal deposit insurance for all charters when it wasn't popular. Done. And we moved on. Let's fast forward to today. We were the only financial services trade group to oppose CFPB's oversight of credit unions. And we're continuing to push back, harder than ever, because credit unions did not cause the financial crisis. And we are seeing results. We have doubled our market share in mortgages. We have 114 million consumers that are now members of credit unions. Think about that. That's 1 out of every 3 Americans are a member of a credit union. Give yourself a round of applause. That's something right there to be proud of. As you know, we have never been shy about heading to Capitol Hill to make sure that the credit union voice is heard in Washington. Everything we do is to help credit unions grow. And while we have stayed true to our vision put forth by NAFCU's founders, we've always kept one eye on the future in hopes of bringing the latest advancements in technology to the doorsteps of credit unions across the nation. NAFCU has been diligent in forging new partnerships with industry innovators and technology leaders to help you get future ready. We were the first financial services association in the world to partner with 2 global blockchain initiatives, joining Hyperledger and Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. We joined the ranks of companies like IBM, Intel, Cisco, and Microsoft. Our partnerships put us at the table with the world's leading technology firms, working on new ideas to ensure credit unions thrive in your increasingly competitive landscape. Why does any of this matter? Blockchain seems light years away. It all goes down to the same 4 words: vision, strategy, execution, and innovation. It was Walt Disney who said times and conditions change so rapidly that we must keep our aim constantly focused on the future. And it's exactly this reason credit unions should maintain optimism and faith in our industry. Despite the challenges of competing with large banks and fintech, credit unions have gained uncontested trust and support from communities and policymakers while continuing to meet their members' financial and technological needs. Time and time again, credit unions have proven to be resilient during shifting political and economic environments and have come out on top, have always come out on top. Together, we have accomplished so much. Staying committed to advocacy will lead to an even better legislative and regulatory environment. Staying committed to vision, strategy, execution, innovation will continue to prove to competitors and market disruptors that credit unions are still the best choice for the American consumer. At NAFCU's 51st annual conference here in Seattle, we're here to remind you of those successes and the successes that can be achieved when we embrace change, staying true to our mission of strengthening credit unions and helping members. You have what it takes to compete. You know how to withstand change. You are the future. And with your friends here at NAFCU, you can grow stronger. You will grow stronger. Thanks again so much for being here. I'll look forward to talking with each of you this week. Have a great conference. God bless.
And now,